Give advice to someone who's thinking but don't have confidence.
Hold on tight and believe in yourself. Education is the key.
The reality is sleepless nights, it's stress, it's anxiety.
I learned that the hard way. Is like, no, that's not how it works.
Everybody
Again,
talks about white privilege.
white privilege. I don't like that. That whenever people just talk about that. Can there be some stuff? Maybe, but man, I've been in this country since I was a kid. There's opportunities for everybody.
Yes.
As an immigrant, I have privilege.
You sound like typical entrepreneur. You see an opportunity, you go after it.
Economy is really bad. Politicians and all that, is hard to make a living.
Aldin, let's start with your story. Where did your story begin? What brought you to US and especially in Florida?
What brought me to U.S. As a kid, I didn't have a choice. Family moves, you move
You got
along.
followed.
Yeah, you follow. There wasn't a specific reason. Just family moves. You gotta move with them, and that was basically the reason.
What made your family to move?
I guess our country, mine specifically, is a third world country. Economy is really bad. Politicians and all that, is hard to make a living like that.
No opportunities.
Opportunities are very, very bad. So, United States is the place for everybody can make a difference in their life.
Why Florida? How did you move to Florida?
I literally lived all my life as a young adult in Texas, in Houston.
Houston, Texas.
Yeah, Houston, Texas. I consider myself a true Texan, For many, many reasons, I decided personal reason, I decided to move to Miami. I noticed that I wanted to be close to the water, to the beach, to the fishing. I come from in Honduras. I'm from an island called Roatan. So, older I get, the winter gets bad in Texas to me. So I was like, you know what? I look into multiple places to move, and Florida was the place, and that's how I end up over here in Florida.
What did you do in Texas and what do you do here now? Like, how was that transition?
So in Texas, I actually hold an air conditioning license. I did air conditioning. That's how I developed myself as an air conditioning guy. From there, I invested in countertops. The reason that I invested in countertops because the air conditioning, it was like summers and a little bit of the fall, and then from there it kind of got slow. So I invested in countertops, and then when I moved to Florida, because my brothers are installers, metal roof installers, I noticed there was a need for this type of shops. So I noticed that, and that's how I end up getting into the fabrication of metal roofs.
You sound like typical entrepreneur. You see an opportunity, you go after it. Do you remember as a immigrant young when do you realize that you don't want to work for someone, you want to control your destination and you want to go for it?
I used to be a waiter. I used to wait tables, but before I became a waiter, I was a helper. It's called a buzzer or a boss boy.
Boss boy.
And when I was doing the boss boy situation, I noticed that the waiters will make more money. And so I asked for an opportunity. They gave me an opportunity. And from there, I noticed that it was like a space for ranks and ranks. I made it all the way to management, but then I noticed that managers don't make a lot of money. It's just a privilege, it's a
Just
title.
a title.
Exactly. And I was like, well, as a waiter or bartender, I was making more money doing that. And then that's when I figured, well, I need to find ways to make more money. And I had a background in construction as an early age with my family. So I originally wanted to be an architect. That was my goal, my dream, to be an architect or an engineer. I was within those steps. I wanted to do that. Unfortunately, I couldn't. And then from there, I went to community college and I took some classes, 6 months of classes for air conditioning. But I couldn't finish the course because I was like, it, it was a lot of reading and I needed to be hands-on, you know. So I went and applied for a company, and they hired me as a service tech. And then from there, I saw no limit. I noticed how much money there is on air conditioning. I like a lot of money. And then from there, I just tried to learn as much as I could, try to do the repair, the installs. I managed to do all of that. And then from there, I became a sub, And then when I became a sub, I trained my cousins, my uncles,
You brought everyone with you.
everybody on my family, on my team. We just made this.
Everybody's doing HVAC.
Everybody was doing the air conditioning with me. Everybody. So we created this very, very strong team, and from there, we made a lot of money. I made a really good air conditioning and company in Houston, and then from there, like I said, we got big, but during the winter, I didn't have. I was an entrepreneur, but I wasn't a business savvy or a planner. I knew how to do everything in between, but I'm telling you, like, I'm talking about 20, 22 years ago when Google and it was kind of like do the SEO and all those things. It was barely starting up, and everybody's trying to learn it and all that. And I got myself into it. A lot of nights, sleepless nights, trying to learn. And then from there, I transitioned. I invested my money into countertops. I bought the top of the line equipment, but I did a lot of money. I made a lot of money with that. And that being said, when I moved to Florida, I was able to do what I'm doing right now.
So you learn manufacturing, doing countertops, seems to me. So how many businesses have you owned so far? This number 3 or 4
Three.
account? Three?
Number three.
Is this the biggest opportunity?
This is it. Like Michael Jackson said, this is it.
This
is it. Obviously I'm older, and I saw this opportunity on metal, but metal can be very tricky. Metal fabrication can be very tricky, and I'm talking in Florida, Miami-Dade. This is where the toughest of the toughest can be tested.
I've had several businesses, and every business, I've been in flooring business, I've been in roofing business, and we start business, we sell business, we start another one, and each business teaches us lessons, something that you learn. Can you name few lessons that you learned in each business? Have you wanted to quit maybe, and what made you not to quit? Because people think that, owning a business is all roses and checks and mimosas on a Tuesday in the morning, and the reality is sleepless nights, it's stress, it's anxiety. How many times you wanted to quit?
Quite a few times, a lot. It's tough. It's tough. Starting a business from scratch is hard. Air conditioning to me was the easiest business to do. Air conditioning is you get your license, you can rent a little space, get a secretary, put up a team, and it's easy. That was my easiest. So I thought every other business was gonna be easy, I was like, man, I got it. I know how to do it. And then I got into countertops, and I was doing both of the companies at the same time. So I run into the problem with countertop. It was craftsmanship. It's a lot. It's a lot to learn all different patterns, all different colors. You got to become a designer, literally, in order for you to show customers what colors are trending and blah blah blah, bunch of things like that. When I got into metal here in Florida, that I mean, this has been a hard one, hardest part so far of my life. Was have kept me going
What was the hardest of starting metal manufacturing in Florida?
the approvals,
Approvals.
the approvals, and then people don't want to share knowledge. Everybody thinks you're obviously your competition, and at the beginning I didn't understand it, but now it's like, okay. I mean, I went through a lot. I didn't know which machine to buy. You know, I thought I was gonna buy a roll former, and balam, you have a business. You know, I learned that the hard way. Is like, no, that's not how it works. I didn't know what shear to buy. I didn't know which folder, the CNC. There's a bunch of little things. Where to buy the stuff. You know, where to buy the coils, where to buy the screws. Outside of Florida, you can literally buy any type of screw, literally, and people are gonna say, no, 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 that's not how it works. That's how it works. I got myself, I found myself in a situation that every little thing for Miami-Dade, and you've been in this industry for a long time. You know, Miami-Dade is the toughest out there. When I started, I didn't have any of that. I didn't know anything about it. I came from Texas. Texas is easy. It's like a walk in the park, man. For metal or a lot of industries.
Texas is not regulated. And
It's
let me
not.
ask you this, like on that note, do you support regulation? Because you said earlier that you are Texan, you identify as Texan, but now you're in Florida. So we have the most unregulated state and the most regulated state, and you've done business in both and you know both. Do you support government regulation and what Florida implemented? Do you want Texas to be like more like Florida, or do you want Florida more to be like Texas?
I want Texas to be like Florida.
You want to?
Yes. Whenever you make all this investment, and you have, and I take a lot of heat for this, you know. Whenever you have an average Joe or just anybody, I have this investment on this. This is 22,000 square foot warehouse, and if there's no regulations or regulate like stuff, it makes it a lot difficult. You know, for me, I made all this investment. I got my own approvals. So yes, and then, but that's not just because of that. Is like people gotta learn that the end user have to know that they get in a professional. You know, from the approvals. There's a lot of variation on approvals that a lot of people don't know. I mean, no disrespect for a lot of roofers, but most of them or a lot of them don't know this, Dimitri. They don't know how to read an NOA or, you know, or the blueprints on metal, the installation guide. You know, I see a lot of TikTok videos, people mixing all kinds of metal. The installation TikTok experts, you know, and I invested 4.5 years total right now to get these approvals. You know, I have learned a lot from the test on the screws, on the clips, the reasons behind that. You know, is it gonna last on the worst condition? Is it fire rated under layman's? And that's is a lot of stuff. You know, so I would love to see this across. That way, the end user, the homeowner, because right now the homeowner don't most of the homeowners don't know. They don't get to choose. You can have a really good quality material, but if the roofer doesn't want to buy that top quality, they go to the entry level because it's enough to get you going. And that's always the issue. Miami-Dade and Broward is the toughest of the toughest. Like, you got to know your codes in here, you know. A lot of people come from other states and they want to do a roof. Like I must say, and I always talk about 2 states because that's where I live, you know, Houston, Texas, and Florida. In Houston, you can remove a roof today and you can install it back on today. No inspections, no nothing. Not in Miami. There's a process. You know, in Florida, there's a process.
Last question on a personal journey story. What does American dream means to you now versus, I don't know, 20 years ago? Have it changed? Do you appreciate your parents bringing you here? And
Yes, very much so.
What is it? What does American dream means to you? Do you live it?
I believe it and I live it. I believe it and I live it every day. Um, Being able to have a roof, protected roof. When I say that is as minimum of having air conditioning inside your house is a privilege.
It is.
You know, as something simple as opening your refrigerator and have a meal there for your kids is a privilege. Sometimes we forget about those little things. So when we come from where we come from, we appreciate all those details. You know?
How do we teach it to our kids who born here, who've never experienced that? How do you pass it on?
You have to keep it real, man. You have to keep it real. A lot of people they just want to show the nice cars and the traveling and all that, but there's more to it. You know, get your kids involved. You see my son, he's around here. My 17-year-old, he also comes around here. My son is in the army, and my second one is gonna go to the army as well. But I always talk to them, and I let them know that there is a struggle every day. You have to go out there and get it. You know, there's no such a thing as fixed. You know, you have to work hard for this dream. You know, in order for you to put gas on those cars, pay insurance, is a lot of stuff. So I always keep it very real with my kids. You know, I always bring them back home as well to Honduras or Mexico. I bring them with that, you know, since they were little. Show them what real life is like. You know, when I was a kid, man, I used to have a pair of shoes to go to school and a pair of shoes for the whole year. If one of those go bad or you do something wrong,
You don't have shoes.
yeah, that's it.
You fix
know?
We used to fix shoes. I remember like stitching them, gluing them,
yeah.
taping them.
Hey man, like I was still people like back home. When I say back home is like, you know, back on our countries.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, we complain about things that those don't make any sense, you know. And my 20-year-old that is in the army, he's the perfect example. Is like that. I don't believe in people complaining, because whenever you get into the army, it's like nobody cares. Nobody cares. You know, like you said, why you said, oh, my pizza didn't get here on time. You know, those type of things. You know, like, and it's funny. Like I talk to people get upset because the DoorDash is taking another few minutes to get here. You know, that's unreal. Like, you know, that's a totally privilege. So, yes, you know, we're in the to me personally, we're in the best country in the whole world, man. Hands down.
100% agree.
Hands down. You know, I don't doubt it. Every day I wake up and like, thank you, Lord. You know.
Yes, sir.
You know. So
America's the best. America
Yes.
is the best country on the planet.
Yeah.
I second that.
yeah.
Let's talk about what you do today. I want to compliment you on your branding. That's
you.
the first thing that people notice. Fun fact, we were setting this up and someone came in and they installed that magnet right there. And I love those little details. That's what I would do. Love your logo. I noticed you've been in business 1 year, right? Like not a lot of vehicles, but you have a few, and you have a wrapped vehicle. You have even your Isuzu trucks like have like logo. You know, talk to me about branding, marketing, why it's important, why you lead with it. How did you learn it, and how did you come up with the name and logo there?
So altogether, it comes down to like you've done it before, you know. So you just get smart about it, you know. We came out with the first logo. I was a little bit distracted when we started it because I was trying to get the licenses. That was my priority, you know, because there's a big difference of being a metal fabricator and having your own approvals, licenses, and they call NOAs or notice of acceptance in Florida. With those licenses, you can literally do anything, you know. So I'm my own brand. So I also understand that I have the responsibility to to make this right since the beginning because I want to see my brand throughout the United States. That's my goal. We talk about it. We have 5 roll formers, and we have 2 flat trucks, and we have 2 pickups. You know, two trucks, 2 regular trucks. To me, is the branding, the name is very important. It went through my head trying to think like metal. I look into many different stuff.
Branding is tough. Coming up with a name in the roofing space when you have thousands of companies out there, everything is taken. Find a good website, you know.
Yeah,
It takes time.
it takes time. So I was going through a lot of thinking at the time, and I remember a friend of mine has a name in Texas. He owns like a hairstylist place. It's called Top Styles. Free advertising for you, my brother. And I always loved the Top Styles type of thing, and I also remember Tom Cruise on his
Top
movie
Gun, yeah.
Top Gun, and I was like top metal, and I keep repeating top metal, and like shit, that's it, top metal, and I was like, what's on top of the top? There's nothing. That's it. That's it. That's the top. So that's why I named it Top Metal because I got a lot of plans for this brand, you know.
So what do you specialize in? What kind of systems you make here? Because, you know, many people say standing seam is standing seam. There's so many standing seams. You can go to Menards or Home Depot or Lowe's and buy standing seam. Like, what's your specialty and how are you different from competition?
Our stuff is the way I see standing seam. There's multiple standing seam, but we do mechanical seam, 1.5 inches. Whenever we did the testings, because I done a lot of testing. See, that's the thing I tell people. I know what the system will hold because I didn't pay somebody to go, hey, go do this test for me. I went with my guys to the lab. I stayed there on that lab for 2.5 months doing the testings for standing seam, PVR, ag panel, snap lock, all those. We went through all of them. And Miami or Florida has the toughest hurricanes throughout the seasons. So whenever we're testing standing seam with mechanical seam, did the highest level on wind capacity. I mean, whenever we're doing the testings, we were literally hitting a Cat 6 hurricane. We didn't hit all the way to Cat 6 hurricane because the actual frame where the test gets done, it blew up, literally blew up. So I was like, damn. So to me, is a hurricane proof, is literally a bulletproof system. You know, to me, I see it as a conceal. Once you get one of these roofs in your house, this is it. You know, I always say that word because this is it, man. It's very important. It was very important for me, and it's still very important for me. Anybody that is gonna make this type of investment, our parents, our own friends. I would never, like myself, I wouldn't do a 5E panel on my house. I'm all against it. I wouldn't do an ag panel or PVR in my house.
How guide me through because I agree with you. Hurricane is the ultimate test. You've seen all of the tests. You probably have a lot of failures. How do products from Europe that flooding the market right now? We have stuff from Europe, Romania, Italy, Brazil. We see products from China, Indonesia, like those panels, like metal panels. They're trying to compete with the asphalt shingles. And give me a guide, like what performs the worst, what performs the best, and what performs not as advertised, because they all pass tests. That's the thing. They all do 130, 160. What do you see in real life?
So whenever you do tests, there's minimums on tests. When I was doing my own test, I bump into people doing the test on those metals you test against shingle. There are some really good ones, really good ones. They do like really high end wins. I'm not against it, but I still standing seam. You know, standing seam is a concealed system. You never get to see the screws, the penetration. Once you penetrate the wood and the clip, and then you put the other panel in, it really conceals it. And most of the other sections, most of them there's always going to be where you can see the screws, you know, pretty much. And the ones that don't, the way their clip works, to me, they're not like top of the line, you know. But there's a few brands out there that I will tell you, yes, hands down, they're good. If you compare them apples to apples from the way they will perform long term, standing seam mechanically fastener, there's no competition on that.
And this is what you do. This is your number one product here.
That's my number one product, and that's why I'm always trying to tell people and educate people about them, because some people is like, well, snap lock is good. It's okay. It'll give you a metal roof, but there's a difference between having a good system that will last a long time against something that at least you have a metal roof. You know, do you want that? Will you put that on your mom's house? You know, your mom, your dad, your parents, they're already retired. They're about to retire. They're gonna put a system in there. Will you put that on
What's the life expectancy of this kind of system? Like realistic, what you see in the marketplace? Do they last 50 years, 60 years? Because we've seen metal roofs, even older quality, that have been there for 50 years.
Yes. So there's three type of paints that you do on roofs. Florida requires Kyanite 500, Sherwin-Williams. Sherwin-Williams tell you there is 35-year warranty on the paint, from fading, from chalking, and other stuff. Now, it doesn't mean that the paint will die at that age. It just, that's a warranty they're giving you, that it's gonna look the same throughout, no matter what, you know. But if there's good roof companies out there, man. There's good roof company. I have really good customers myself that I do business with, and they understand what I tell them, you know. And I always talk about the approvals, you know, because I went through the approvals. I seen a lot of big guys approvals, and I explain them, I break them down, you know, and I always tell them, this is what you got to look for. This is the numbers. This is the air pressures. There's like that being said, yes, a metal roof can last you 50, 60 years. You know, if it's one, people think that the metal roof is like maintenance free. No, it still requires some maintenance. You know, it still have parts that it can be weakened. You know, but overall, if you hire a good roofing company, it can last you. I can say 60 years easily. And people will be like, oh, no, dude, I did the testing. We have done a lot of salt.
I mean, we've seen it. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen it for years.
And then the salt testing on these products that we sell, you know, is second to none, man. You got to make sure that, and again, you got to buy.
Don't you switch to aluminum for next to the ocean?
Well, yes. If you the code requires within 1,500 feet from the water that you have to have aluminum. Can aluminum be damaged by the water, the salt water? Of course it can. You know, it's not.
But it's less likely.
Yeah, you know, it will last you longer. But there's other materials that'll be better than aluminum. But people don't buy it because it's more expensive, you know.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about cost. And my last question on the testing is,
Yeah.
how do asphalt manufacturer manufacturers get away with their, because I've seen the warranties. I remember I looked in a Tamco. So the Tamco did 160-mile wind warranty, but if you read the actual warranty, it says it's void after like 78 mile per hour, which makes no sense because you advertise 160, and I guess you can pass the test to advertise it, but then you would not warranty, and which is like 76 is category 2. So like category 2 is out, right? Like how do shingles perform in those tests, hurricane tests, and how they get away with advertising being proof for Hurricane 5?
How they get away, I don't know. The laws are sometimes crazy.
Because they are approved in Miami-Dade too.
Yeah. So
How? You're on that end. I'm just curious. Like you've done it. Let's talk about how hard to get Miami-Dade approved. We have underlayment business. We're actually partnering with Aldin here too, and it's not easy process. Like what that process look like, and how do some people pass it? Questionable products.
So whenever I was there doing my test for the metals, the way I see shingle is like, obviously, shingle is sectional, okay? And whenever you see the way they do the test on the shingle, it's completely different the way they do it on the metal. If they would do the test the way they do it on the metal, they do it on the shingle, there wouldn't be one single shingle that it would be Miami-Dade approval. I tell you that right now. It would be impossible. I mean, you got to remember they flap, right? So whenever you put, let's say a 90 miles per hour on something that'll flap, what it will do? It'll
rip,
it'll bend, and it'll break, no matter what. So it just the test is different than metal, completely different.
but it's the same hurricane.
I know, but I mean,
So they have different tests for metal and they have different tests for asphalt shingles.
exactly. It's just different.
It makes no sense to me at all.
But it's one of those things that I always tell my kids, and I always tell myself, I'm not, like I don't even like I ask the question, if they tell me and none makes sense, the answer doesn't make any sense, and then I just walk away, because that's gonna be trouble. That'll be trouble. So I just like, okay, since I'm not in that industry as far as like manufacturing shingles, but there's some shingles that will stand. Like for some people will say, well, shingle. People don't understand that shingle will last for a long time.
Yes.
But
15 years is a long time.
But it will degrade. The underlayment plays a big role on all the systems. It can be metal, it can be a standing seam, it can be a snap lock, it can be ag panel. The underlayment is what makes a big difference on all those procedures. I mean, you can have a shingle just blow out. If you have a good underlayment, like a peel and stick, you good, you cover. There's some really good underlayments out there, really good. I have tested my metals with all type of underlayments. I know about underlayments, I know about metals and all that. That's my field. I've seen all the tests, but why they advertise like Cat 3, 4, and 5, and then they only give you warranty for like 1 and 2, I don't have an answer for that, I will tell you, based on what I have done on my own testing, I know that it will do Cat 5 no problem, But it also depends that the roofing manufacturer gives you the install guide. Are you following? You got to remember, the way it works is like you do a metal test for like 4 hours, and it only goes to let's say 90 miles an hour. I can't remember the right number right now, but for 4 hours, it makes like a pressure to the metal, but it's not like really, really hard. So let's say I want to get a test passed for, I want to say Georgia. You can do the very minimum. You can pass it with 70 miles an hour. There, Now there's tornadoes in there, but that's a totally different story, you know. But you can do the very minimum on most of the United States, and you're good. But once you want to do metal for Miami-Dade, it's like 5 hours total. You know, from the 4 hours, you do tests for 4 hours. You're good. But once you want to be with the big boys here in Florida, then in Miami area, then you go to 5 hours. But here's the thing, Miami-Dade, Broward is the approvals are very, very strict. But if you go to West Palm and up north, let's say Jupiter, you don't need the Miami-Dade approvals. You can get away with a 4-hour test, and that's very easy to pass. I can pass those all day long, twice on Tuesdays, easily, you know, easily. But to get the Miami approval on some of the metals are tough.
What's the biggest misconceptions about metal roofs in Florida?
The biggest thing is not understanding the installation guide. You know, I mean, I did the testing to be able to do Cat 5. Are the guys installing it doing it that way? Who's doing the inspection on those guys? You know, is the roofing company doing that? You know, so I have a testing, and I can tell you hands down, if I pull your system apart and you follow the installation guide, and it's that way, it'll last. You know, but if you put like, so my design is 16 inches apart on the clip, but you did 17, that's not the same test. You're already changing the test. You do it at 18, it's not the same test. You're not doing it right. The plywood, see, like my approvals are for what is called reed roof. Reed roof is for 1/2 inch plywood. That's the toughest test that you can test. I did that by mistake, honestly. I didn't do that on purpose. I passed that test. Oh, they gave me that test by mistake. I didn't know anything when I went to take the test. But mine is for reed roof and new construction. And people don't understand the difference on that. If you have an older home and they did 1/2 inch plywood, and you come back with a regular testing on metal that it says new construction, that test is not the same for that, because the plywood is not the same thickness. It changes. So that's where a lot of people don't understand, you know, like not all metals are equal, basically, not all the systems.
Who are you targeting? Who's your ideal customers? Is it builders? Is it new construction? Is it developers? Is it homeowners? Is it small, big players?
I mean, right now, you know, we literally got our approvals license last year, October last year. So it's been a year and 1 month, you know, so we're a baby company. We're trying to target anybody that understands that I'm trying to give customers a solid system, you know. So when I talk to roofers, I explain them the type of testings that I got. You know, they're solid. I feel comfortable if I do that on my parents' homes or my kids on my own. I feel very comfortable that that'll withstand a Cat 5 hurricane, and this metal will be there for a long, long, long time.
How does someone become your customer? They go to the website, submit an order, or there's onboarding, or?
So basically, you know, it's very simple. They can go online. You know, most of the customers that call us, we set up an appointment, whether they come over or we go to them. And before they buy, I want them to understand what they're buying. You know, do you understand what you're selling? You know,
I would recommend you guys come here and talk to Aldin in person, seeing the factory, seeing the whole thing. It's impressive.
Yeah. So right now we coming up with a lot of different videos to show customers, the roofers, and also the homeowners, so they can understand what they're buying. Am I buying the right product? You know, those type of things. I want to put a lot of information out there so people know what they're getting from the metal, type of metal, and underlayment. The underlayment plays a big role on this setups, these systems.
How do you compete with the big dogs, with the suppliers, with the big players, with the big manufacturers?
I mean, I'm you got to be very patient. You got to be very patient. And it's been a lot of educating the guys. Every time that I talk to a roofing company and I explain them what is it that we do and what I would do for them, because this is about the way I see it and the way I'm looking at it is a type of partnership. Hey man, you can call me on a Sunday. You can't call the big boys on a Sunday. You have a personal problem with the customer. I can modify the system. If you made a mistake, I can modify it on the right way, so you don't have to go through a lot of trouble. I'm my own engineer. My guys that work with me in my office and the ladies, they understand the systems. I took them from like pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, and all the way there, so they can understand it. So the benefits, and I guess the way I'm doing it is the benefit of one-on-one kind of a situation. They have issues, they got problems, they can call me. They can call Rafael or somebody that works on my team, and they will get the answer instead of waiting through all the protocols. Somebody will get back to you. And that's basically how we've been doing it. And this is, like I said, the way I see it is only 1 year in business, and you see this massive warehouse. I got really good machines, and more are coming. So, but mainly, like I said, customer service has been the key. Before I did my own, I used to buy from the big guys, and I noticed all the stuff that they needed to work on, and I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna do that. The loopholes they're leaving behind. So that's basically my target or my goal. To be a little bit different on that.
Let's talk about industry and trends. 2025 was a hard year for many. We do see that people are looking for cheaper options. With inflation, with everything like price increases, people are looking for cheaper options. More and more roofs are being financed. People are going for the cheaper bidders for asphalt, and metal has always been the highest price. How do you compete with the asphalt? How do you compete with the cheaper metal? And do you see the demand that people are going towards, cheaper stuff?
Yeah, cheaper or cheap. It is a huge word, and it kind of depends on what are you trying to achieve. And that's why I'm a big believer on educating your customer. Obviously you're not gonna compare chingo to metal. It's just not the same. Even tile. Even tile. But I see metal. I think the future of roofs are gonna be is actually metal. It's coming and it's happening. Ourselves, we did really good in 2025, and I think 2026 for us is looking like really good so far. All the plans that we've been, you do your business plan, and we have done and we have achieved up to right now that time frame. So I think we're doing really good. Our product is affordable. It's affordable. It's not cheap. It's affordable. If you break it into, like, let's say how many times you're gonna do shingle in a 50-year span, or let's say 15 years, what's the breakdown on that? Is it 3-to-1, 2-to-1?
First.
So that's how you educate your roofers. Like, you got to look into those numbers, and I think homeowners understand, well, I got to come up with this money once. I don't have to come up with it twice or three. People are gonna say, well, that's why I have home insurance. Is it easy to get it replaced? Is it easy to get that money? It's a lot of a
And
lot
it's getting harder too.
it's getting harder. So people got to understand that Florida has the strict laws on everything. Insurance companies, they want you to go to metal. That's, they're pushing you. So like right now in Florida, I was talking to insurance rep. He's like, okay, and again, I might be, because the by the time this video comes up, and people always want to argue about these little things. As of yesterday, I was told that if you do shingle, the insurance company will be okay with you for 10 years. After 10 years, you have to replace that roof, even if it's perfect. Let's say that a hurricane doesn't come through or hailstorm, 10 years, that's the lifespan that insurance companies are giving you. Tile, 17 years. Metal, they're offering a 50-year warranty that you don't have to replace your roof.
Is insurance expecting 50 years? So insurance does not flag metal roofs, do they?
What do you mean?
Like you will get letters to replace if they see older roof, but
Yeah.
they're not sending anything to metal.
No, not right now. So they want you to do metal because they know that's the weak side of the home. That's everything comes through.
That's the proof of concept. That's the real test.
Yes.
What advice would you give to an immigrant who works for someone who wants to start their own business, or maybe even something like this? Plant, manufacturing company, because there's so many immigrants, they are in subcontractor mentality or working for someone mentality. You went through entire journey. Give advice to someone who's thinking but don't have confidence.
You got to be hungry. That's the key. You have to be hungry. You got to learn that a lot of people is gonna say, no, it's not happening.
Then
It's
get a
not."
lot of denials.
Exactly. So you got to have your mindset set on it. You got to plan. You got to make your plan. A lot of business owners, they go from entrepreneurs. Sometimes we just jump and we don't have a plan, a business plan. Nowadays, there's a lot of YouTube videos and everything on how to make a plan. ChatGPT, you can ask them to input a business plan. You can hire a coach to do so, But sometimes we want to take the fastest way, the easy route. And then later on you find out, I should have done that. So I always tell people, like, learn the business side. Like, if you know the trade, learn the business side. That's the key. Learn how to sell it, how to advertise it. You don't have to do it all, but at the beginning, whenever you one-man show, that's why I say you got to be hungry. I spend a lot of hours thinking, planning. Everything that I do, it has a plan. I plan it months ahead of time.
Yes, you do.
So you got to be hungry for that.
In the next 3 to 5 years, what do you think is going to happen to the roofing industry? What do you see as a trend? Like, obviously, you're on the metal side, and metal is huge. I did not realize until I met you how big the metal is, because for years, I've seen reports that, a roofing industry is a $60 billion industry, 86% of industry is asphalt shingles, right? And now I'm learning that metal is $26 billion industry. It's way bigger, and which makes sense. Do you see that trend keep growing?
I do. You got to remember, whenever you're on the metal, it's not just doing the metal roofs. You can do it commercially, commercial buildings, high rises, government jobs. And that's why basically I tell anybody, like, that's where the big money is at,
Yeah, they're not installing vinyl siding on government buildings.
Yeah,
They're not installing nothing but metal, install something that truly will last. Good
exactly.
point. How to get those jobs?
There's ways to get those jobs. There's websites that will help you, that will train you, that will that'll help you build your business plan to get to it. Us as a minority, and it plays a big role. You know, I always tell people, hey, this country wants to help us. They want to help us.
Sure.
Being a woman, you're a minority. Being Hispanic or an immigrant from anywhere, Russian, it gives you, believe it or not, people don't understand that. It gives you a privilege. Everybody talks, and
Everybody
again,
talks about white privilege.
white privilege. Hey man, come on. There's opportunities for everybody.
Yes.
As an immigrant, I have privilege. So now that my son is in the army, guess what? That's another privilege as a business owner, you know? So there's multiple opportunities, not just like being white. I don't like that whenever people just talk about that, you know? Can there be some stuff? Maybe, but man, I've been in this country since I was a kid.
I love that point, man. I love that point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people do think, well, before I get into that, I'll say this. In this country, people hate anyone who asks for a hangout, but they love people who work hard, even homeless. Like, it's funny, in the third world countries, you know, you must support the poor, you must give. Like, it's a culture, right? Someone beggar in the street, you're like, all right, here's some money, right? In the United States, what do we see more of? Like, hey man, I have a job, do you want to work? Like, even to the beggars, we offer jobs. I see roofers do it all the time. We hate people begging. Why? Because there are opportunities. And if you have to beg and ask for money, I'm like, man, let's go. I'll give you $100, cut my grass. You know, I'm building a shed. I have a garbage to like, you know, you want to help? Do you want a money, or do you want a handout, or you want to earn money, right? And I'll give you way more than you're asking. You know, I'm not going to give you $10. I'll give you 100, but let's work. And that's the test. And in this country, if you go to anyone and you say, hey, my name is, here's what I do. We love supporting neighbor's kid, asking to mow our grass, Boy Scouts, anybody who comes to your door selling any kind of charity and stuff. We like the hustle.
Yes. Yeah, I have big respect for people that do that. You know, if you come asking for free money, I'm like, no. When I go back to my countries, Honduras or Mexico, and people expect me to give them stuff, like, no, why should I? Why should I? I work hard, long hours. I wake up.
Well, they say you have opportunity.
Yeah.
We don't have it.
You know, so handouts are not good. You know, in this country, if you're serious and you work for it, it happens for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, from the Middle East, Chinese. It doesn't matter. You know, I always tell my crew and my people, anybody that comes through those doors and offer us a service, I don't care how they look like. Do they have a good product? Is the price correct? Do they take care of us? You know?
I think it's the biggest problem in the United States today. This, like, I came from communist country. We're not communist anymore. Russia is not communist anymore, but used to be, right? And this country is kind of heading that direction. And it's the dumbest thing ever. And I want you to think about this. Not many people are talking about it, but there's two departments in the United States. One is, that gives away money to free people, like it's your food stamp programs and all that, right? So we feed the people. There's another department that first department should learn from. It's Department of National Parks. If you go to National Park, there are going to be signs everywhere. Do not feed animals. Don't feed them. Why? Because if you feed the animals, what do they say? The animal will depend on it and will not learn how to hunt, how to do, right? So we tell people, do not feed the animals because it will ruin them. But what do we do to our kind? We feed them. So like, this department needs to learn from Department of National Parks.
100%, 100%.
So we know that. We know that this is how nature works. But somehow we find excuses to feed the laziness. We kill the motivation.
It's like, if it doesn't cost you anything, what are you going to do? you're gonna destroy it. You know, plain and simple.
You're not gonna value it.
You have no
Same
value.
goes with the free advice. You know, I have all my advice for free on YouTube, but nobody's using it. And that's why you have to charge. There's gonna be like pain point. You know, my best programs, my best videos, like even YouTube. Like we have, like on this channel, we have $15 YouTube subscription. $15 for private, because there's a lot of information that we post. I don't want the public to see it. Even with your business, we're gonna post something only available to members, right? Because your competition should not see it, like right? And people are like, oh, why charge $15? Well, what's $15? You know, I just did an interview with a roofer in San Diego. He charges $300,000. He makes $300,000 a year on paid inspections. Paid, like anywhere from $400 to $2,000. Like, and they do free inspections, free estimates, and paid inspections, right? So I interview him for 30 minutes. How do you do it? What do you do? Like, what's your process? Valuable information, right? But I don't want his homeowner see it. I don't want his competition see it. So we did it members only. And it's available. I'm not going to make that content on YouTube. It's not a YouTube content. But if someone wants to learn, it's $15. And people complain, oh, like, oh, $15. I'm like, first of all, it's not a lot. Second of all, we have to add some kind of filters to some kind of information. And third, like, if that's a lot of money, it says a lot about you, man.
I gotta tell you something, man. Whenever I do my trainings here locally, people take it for granted. You know, it's like, oh, you know, it's another trying to sell me the metal. But some people see the value in it. Like, I invest money to put a class together. You know, let's say we do it on a Saturday. I gotta pay my team for them to come over. It's not free. They work for this company. Even myself, I work for Top Metal. You know, and
You have to respect people's time.
exactly. So I gotta pay my people, you know, for them to come over, and we spend 4 hours training you. I train roofers, I train homeowners, I train business owners. You know, when I talk about roofers are the one who's doing the job, and then business owners are who owns the facility or the business. You know, and I have training for all those levels. You know, even the sales guys, and it's free, it's available, and people don't whenever it's free, they don't see the big value. But like I told you before, as soon as you start charging for it, and then everybody wants in, you know. But you got to remember, like me, I'm not flashy, but people want to see the flashing. They want to see all of that. You know, we've been very quiet.
No,
You know, and that's all it matters to me. You know.
you're way too humble for Miami roofer. I expect the gold chain or some kind of. I met you in Las Vegas at MetalCon. I was blown away by machines, but one thing that stuck out to me is they all look the same. Let's talk about innovation in the roofing space. What's coming in? Like, I mean, we're still in the commodity business. At the end of the day, we're just forming some metals, but what are technologies are there coming in, like that's truly new? And what is the basic, just like repackaged from the old?
So the way I see it is it blew my mind when I was there myself. You know, there is entry level machinery, and there's like top dollar, high end. You know, it kind of depends on if you're like a roofer. I probably wouldn't invest that kind of money just just to do 1 or 2 jobs a week. But if you're like in a big time manufacturing, I see that need, you know. But there's ways to get it done faster without coming out with all that money. I mean, I talked to somebody there, and the machine was like a $1.5 million. And I did a cross-reference to other machines that I know they're fast. And I was like, yeah, there's no way that I'm myself, I'm not gonna pay $1.5 million for that machine.
Do you see a lot of middlemen in the space, like a lot of
Yeah.
people who does
Yeah,
repacking?
most of these machines. So I got one of my machines that I got in there here in the United States, a bead decking machine, and it was gonna cost me $1.5 million. I happened to bump into the people who make it themselves, and I was like, wait a minute, and and that's when you like, oh, it's just private label. That's all it is, and we end up paying like $350,000.
That's exactly, guys, what happened with us in underlayment business. When you have like 4 or 5 middlemen, you have people who do logistics and everything. Like you go to the source. Like in my underlayment business, $40 versus $80. When you work directly with the factory, we're pretty much logistic company. We help you to make a connection and add a few dollars to it, but not 400% profit margin. Pays to know who you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's Underlemon is a big player on these systems. Basically, if it's a shingle, it's a system. As a tile, as a system. Metal is a system. If you don't get the right underlayment for your system, you, not you, but the homeowner, doesn't get what they're supposed to be getting.
No, I'm excited about underlayment. I'm excited to partner with the metal manufacturers. That's what we do. Last question on manufacturing. In 5 years, do you see that we're gonna have more local manufacturers like yourself, or do you see more imports that we also see influx now? So I do see, like you go to, IRE, you'll see all these products coming in, and it looks like they're still trying to push from all of, other countries, third world countries. Trump and tariffs, they're trying to affect it. But I also see big rise of local guys. Andy Keys is doing it, you doing it, like, all the guys start their own production. Who do you think is gonna win in that race?
I think us, the local guys, gonna win. See, like I'm putting a program right now for all the local guys. I'm putting a program right now. It's gonna be available pretty soon. We have talked about it. I told you it's a big plan, but I think I think
But aren't you creating competition for yourself?
no, because there's gonna be room for everybody, man. This is a huge market, But again, I got two businesses on the same under myself. I do the roll foreman myself, but I also have the testings under my belt. So let's say you want to start let's say you're a roofer in Miami, and you want to manufacture your own metals. You still need approvals, unless you go out there and you invest, because it's not a spending. You invest into the testing, and you get your own approvals. But but you got to go through a lot. It cost me a lot of money in 4.5 years. But I tell you, Dimitri, you're a roofer. You buying your machines. You want to buy your machines. Let me assign you my approvals. Let me assign you my licenses and all the trainings. I will tell you what machine to buy, which one don't buy, why you want to buy the most expensive or the least expensive. It kind of depends on what are you trying to do. So I'm that guy. I can be on both sides of the business, as showing you how do you get it done, like why you want to buy this particular metal against other. That's basically where I'm heading. So I think overall, right now I'm on TikTok, and I have become. Now I have a little bit more followers. I didn't know how much of a need of people that knows about metal is out there. A lot of people don't know. I love talking about metal all day long. And when I talk to people, roofers and stuff, people don't know. People don't know a lot about the approvals, the reasons, the whys. A lot of people don't know. So I know that stuff, and I want to be I don't mind people asking me those type of questions. That's why we're coming up with a lot of different videos to teach all the guys, big and little. Don't care. You know, um, I have a system that is really good setup. You know, now I can tell you if you're gonna do a metal in Georgia, you don't need to do the mechanical seam setup. I have another system for that for those areas. You see, so it kind of depends. If you're in a coastal, hands down, you gotta go with mechanical standing seam. You have to. You have to.
Yep.
It's like,
It's not an optional.
yeah, it's like it wouldn't make any sense for you to go another route. You can tell me that it's not like it holds and blah blah blah, but it won't on the worst cases. Like where you put this metal to the test. So yeah, I think the industry needs a lot of info.
What was your absolutely lowest point, like where you felt like I hit the ground, like there's no way lower, like you wanted maybe to quit, when you felt like everything is falling apart, the worst time in business? Can you describe what I was going through?
Yeah, it was right before I got the okay to do my own testings. I mean, I got hit to the ground by some big players, and I think that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I mean, I was about to pack up my stuff and go back to Houston, where I got my other business. I was paying big time money, to stay in business. I made a lot of mistakes when I first got to Miami because I gave credit to some guys that I shouldn't, and that put me on a bad spot, bad spot.
Financial hole.
Yes, because I trusted people and because of that, I end up having issues, and stuff like that. But that was my lowest of my lowest. That's what it made me go get my own approvals, basically.
Igor is behind the camera, and we have some hardships sometimes with the underlayment business too. And I recently told him we had like very hard moment too. And I told him, Igor, every time that happens, we go to the top. It's my fifth business, and you guys, if you're watching this, if you're right there on the bottom right now and you don't know, like, you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I promise you, it's a test. It's a true life test, because if you don't quit, you're gonna make it. Yes. Just don't quit. If you quit, there's only one way. You quit. You're done. You surrender. You're gonna regret it for the rest of your life. But
hold on tight.
Hold on tight.
Hold on tight. Yeah.
Love it. When did you realize that you made it? That one moment you thought, hey, we actually did it?
I think we're still in the process. If you ask me, we're still in the process. But I think the breaking point is whenever we pass the test, and then we got the stamp from Miami-Dade. But in between, whenever I passed the test, that was like, heck yeah. And then, oh, that doesn't give you the Miami-Dade approval. You got to go through other hoops. I was like, oh, crap. So, but once we got the stamp from Miami-Dade, I was like, okay, now that gives us a big advantage, because from there, I literally became my own everything. Before that, I depended on other people to fabricate the metal. Now, I sell my own brand. We are Top Metal,
If you could talk to your younger self just arriving to United States, what would you tell that boy?
Hold on tight and believe in yourself. Education is the key. Education is the key for everything that you do. But, we make a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, my background is very difficult, but I will tell myself, be smarter, educate yourself, and believe in yourself. That's basically the keys.
What was your proudest moment since you started this plant, this business?
Miami-Dade approval.
Miami-Dade approval.
Yeah, Miami-Dade approval. That's when I said, this is it.
You made
Puts
it.
me, yeah, it puts me on a different perspective. Like, one of a very few people, you know. I went and I should have took a different route whenever I started testing, but nobody I didn't know a lot of stuff. But now I told you I can pass any test for Miami-Dade, anything anything related to metal and even under layman, I can pass any test, hands down. Like I asked, and I'm still learning. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still learning from a lot of other guys. They're in the business. After I did my first test, I got beaten like a dog, big time. But then I met some other people, like really good human beings. They like whenever I did my third test, by that time I had already somebody that was advising me what to do and what not to do. And if I would have met that guy prior to my test, then hear me out on this one. I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have right now, because I took it the hard way. This test, I took the hard road, like as I didn't know anything. Whenever I met this guy, he's like, Aldin, you should have done that. You could have gone this way or that route, but now it's like, I'm glad that I did it on my own. I'm glad that I did all that, because now I know how to test. And guess what? I teach my son, the one that is in the Army. When I was doing the testing, he went with me. So he's seen it. Now I feel comfortable. Maybe he can't pass the test on his own right now, but now he knows the knowledge. He knows the road. He knows what to do. So that's very much proud moment to me. That combination, bringing my son along with me.
What do you want people to remember about your story?
That it's possible. It's possible. You can make it happen. I'm not on the top right now, but from like 4 years ago, then 2020, I made all my plans. I told my crew, I'm going to have everything lined up by December 2025. I told them, and everything that I plan is coming along.
So you did 5-year plan.
Yeah.
So many people think about 6 months, 1 year.
Can happen. And then from there,
I agree.
and I made my plan, and then from there, right now, I restarted the plan because I got 1 year with the license. I restarted the plan back again, because the plan was get the metal fabrication shop going, and then from there, I was pushed against the wall that I had to go get my own license. I had a plan to get my own NOAs, my own approvals, in 4 or 5 years. But then I had no option to go get my own. And that's what I did. So by doing that, I had to reset my plan again. Once I got my approvals, I reset my plan. So now I'm into my next 5 years. I make my plans to like 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months. And I follow that. Everybody on my team, when I say everybody on my team, I'm talking about my right-hand person, and obviously my left-hand side, people that are like, they're the closest to me. We make these plans, and then we bring it to everybody else on the team, and we got to follow. I got to stay put, man. Sometimes I want to like, oh man, I need a break. I'm exhausted, but I got to stick to that plan, and it's not easy. It's not easy, but plan. There's no such a thing of 6 months to a year. It won't. If you get it that easy, it's because somebody's probably either helping you, or you have another business that is related to. I'm gonna give you a good example. Let's say right now my 20-year-old wants to open a metal business. It's not gonna take him 5 years to get it going. We can open the doors, and within a few weeks, he's gonna have sales. because I already did all the homework for him. I have all the researches. I got all the codes. I know where to buy the metal. I know all the stuff. So that's a business plan for the future. From now on, every other shop that I open, I know I'm a hit home run, plain, hands down. I tell you that much. Every other shop that I open, I know I'm a hit home run. I know what it takes. I know where to buy the product. So it's planning. Planning is key.
Love it. When I started director, I had 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I changed it from 10-year to 12. I told my wife, this is the last business. I'm going to run it for 10 years. And then I'm going to be on the board, but not like in operations. And I revisited because it took a little bit longer to get a momentum. We started being profitable on year 3, which is crazy in that business. Like Angel's has been in business for 16 years, never turned a profit. And anyway, so that the same right now with Mercy underlayments. You know, when I started, like I know where I want to be in 5 years. I even told Igor, I said, I want to make, you know, a first year in sales, I want to make this number. And he's like, do you think we can do it? I'm like, I think we can. But I'm not starting a year without a goal. And because if you, let's say you want to do 5 million a year, that means you have to do $500,000 a month. And you have to go for it. You have to push. You will have $150,000 a month, but there's going to be a month you'll sell more, and maybe you'll fall short. Maybe you'll do 3 million because it's first year. It's hard, like to plan what you don't know, but you have to have a goal for 1 year, for 2 years, for 5 years.
You have to.
Guys, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to walk the company. I've been around this guy for the past few days. He personally inspired me. I love immigrant success story, like to the core. Like this is the favorite thing for me to do. That's why I love traveling. Thank you so much for opening doors. Also, Aldin is an amazing mentor with a big heart for teaching other immigrants walk of success. And I've seen it. He doesn't know what I'm about to say, but I've seen him supporting other people, like in the Spanish community. I've seen it at the expo. I've seen it yesterday. If you need a mentor, and I highly recommend you get one if you don't have one, reach out to Aldin, reach out to me, reach out to someone in your market who is where you want to be. One of the most satisfying things in life, once you made it to the top, it's not the money, it's helping someone else. That's why millionaires and billionaires, they answer their phone calls and they help. But guys often shy about even reaching out because you value others people's time, and I get it, but Aldin is an amazing mentor. He doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be on top there. I mean, he's already on top. So reach out to him if you need any help. Comment below if you got inspired by this episode, and I'll see you in the next one.